We're going to go through step by step how to take your JPEG or PNG file and bring it into Inkscape and then go over it with vector paths using the Bezier pen or Bezier curve tool. First things first, we want to get set up in a way that will let us easily transfer this to the laser cutter. So if we go to File and Document Properties, we're going to do a couple of things here. First of all, we're going to put the units in inches. We're going to make the width 24 and the height 18. That is the size of the Epilogue laser cutter that we have as far as the bed goes. So that's going to be the maximum size of the material. Now the material we have is actually a little bit smaller than that. It's A2, but we will compensate for that later. So there's that. There's the page. Anything else you want to fix, you can. However, we need to make sure that we are. Adobe RGB will probably do it. Add that. And that's all we need to do there. Now, let me bring, whoa, hello. Bring this over here. Next, we want to bring in our so we're going to file import our file. I want to play with this one for now. And we're going to embed it, not link it. Okay. That's going to be good. Great. Okay. Now, it's fairly small and it needs to be rotated because you can see this is the vertical orientation and my workspace here is horizontal, which is, and I don't want to change the horizontal component because that's the orientation of the bed of the laser cutter. So we're going to take, it's still selected, we're going to transform over here. Okay, first of all, I'm going to rotate it and we'll just do 90. It's a shape, it doesn't really matter if it's up or down. That should be fine. We're going to apply that. There we go. Now, we also want to scale this. Now, you can do that here. We definitely want to scale proportionally. And let's see. Let's try. What does 250 get us? And apply that. Oh, not bad. Shall we? All right. Now, remember what I said about making sure your entire object is on the 18 by 24 space. And that by that I mean the dotted line that you can see needs to be inside. Even if there isn't anything there, if it's outside like this over that top margin or outside like that over the side margin, it won't print. You'll get an error message. So make sure that that's all the way inside. If you're really tight on space, go crop the image in Preview or whatever image editing software you want to use, then import it so that the edge of the object is tighter to the actual lines that you're working with and you can net yourself a little more space. In this case, it should be fine. In addition to using the object transform and then scale option, you can also just pull on your object. Now, we need to make sure that the proportions remain the same so that all the pieces will fold and match when we go to do this. So you're going to want to hold down Control. I know that's not usually the key you go do that with in most of this software, but welcome to Inkscape. So it's Control on the Mac, not Command. It's not Shift. And that should do it. And again, double checking and making sure that you're inside your workspace, 18 by 24. And again, our paper's a little bit smaller, so make sure you leave a little bit of a gap on the right and the bottom, and we should be fine. Your home or 0 is going to be up in the top left corner. So this lovely little pen tool kind of thing down here is one thing we're going to work with. And we want to make sure that we're working in a new layer. We want to maintain this layer, which I'm going to now lock over here. And that's that bottom layer. Okay, no problem. We can blink it, view it, yay. I'm going to add another layer. This is going to be my cut vectors. Okay, so the cut vectors are going to be not the first cuts that we make. We have, when we do this by color later, the red is first, the green is second, the blue is third. So the first ones you want to do are actually your fold lines. Those are the red, but sometimes it's easier to think about which ones are the cut lines first because you're going to do the whole outside of your object. So let's do the cut lines, which are going to be green and second. And we're putting that layer above the first one we've got. So there we go. And we want to make sure that we're on that layer for the work that we're doing. Okay, so we have our second layer. We're ready to trace the object with a green Bezier line, which is going to have a stroke but no fill. So we have our pen tool. We're going to select the first starting point. Just click once, and then we can come down and click again at the corner. Click down here, click over here. Now I'm going to stop right now just to show you what's going on so you can see it, because right now it's a very fine line on the screen. In order to stop your Bezier, because otherwise it just keeps going, right? You move your tool around, you're like, but I want to be done. Double click on that last point, and it will create an open Bezier line as your object. In order to then get to the fill and stroke palette, we're going to come down here. If you double click on it says fill and stroke down here in the corner, double click on that, it'll bring up your fill and stroke palette here. We want to make sure that we can start with fill if you like. There's no fill. And then you go to stroke. It's a flat color. We don't want any of these fun things. We do want to set the color to green, however. We talked about this in class. We want real green, so we need 255, 0, and 0. Leave this at 255 for your opacity, and we're good to go. So that's step 1. Step 2 is your stroke style. I will just type this in here. And I'm going to do a 4.0 stroke style for now, because what I want to do is be able to see it. Afterwards, when we are done, you're going to go back to this and make it a 0.1, hit the tab to apply it, stroke style, which is a 0.001 millimeter, but it's 0.1 pixel. Okay, a tenth of a pixel. It's not much. But so that you can see what I'm doing, I'm going to make this 4. And if you find that it's easier for you to see what you're doing with a wider line, just know you have to go back and change that stroke weight later. Okay, so back to this. It doesn't have to be a continuous line all the way around. You may want to shift things a little bit. I'm going to go here and start again and continue my way around the outside. Now you'll notice that there are some additional lines because on my pattern, the dash lines are fold lines on the interior. We also have some solid interior lines. Those are going to be cut lines. Now the solid lines for the tabs are not cut lines, they're fold lines. So we have all sorts of fun going on. So make sure that you are accurately interpreting the figure that you are working with. It would be easy to misinterpret some aspect of a pattern that you did not fully design yourself. Remember to tap once. If you accidentally tap twice, and you end it, just keep going. Or if you tap and hold and you accidentally start getting curvy bits, which you really don't want, because we're doing straight lines here, you can go back and fix that later. I'll show you how to do that. In the meantime, I'm going to keep going on my straight lines and angles all the way down here. Okay, so there it is. Now, I have messed up a few things, and my accuracy is perhaps not what I would like. This tool up here, Edit Paths by Nodes, is what we want to work with, because we're going to come in here and we're going to work with just this node. We have many things we can do with our nodes. I want to make this particular node a corner, and this particular node a corner. And I'm going to just put this back where it goes here. That'll give us that straight line. And that, note how this is also making things wonky. I'm going to bring that back in line here. And we should be all set with that. Not too bad. If you find that you have other points, once you select it, it'll change to a color. We can move that around. You can be as fussy as you want to be. I would suggest you be pretty fussy. You want your things to all line up when you're done. Whether the tabs are perfect or not, maybe not such a big deal, but I would suggest at least this level, this I did pretty quickly, at least this level of precision. You really don't want to be off and see a gap, very much of a gap between your line and the line that you're tracing. So let me zoom out a little. And that's Command minus, just like you normally would. So there's that. Not too bad. It's, I suppose I could make it a little bigger. We'll do that later. And now we're going to tackle the cut lines on the interior. So we're going to go back to our Bezier pen tool, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I can't see what I'm doing otherwise. And I'm going to try some of these. Now, I will more than likely get to a situation where I don't have another cut line. So I'm going to double tap. We've got it. I may have to go back here, do our, there's our 255 tab. Great. And just keep adjusting all of those parts and pieces. So let's go here. And again, we'll maybe do a little bit of adjustment on that interior point. Where those all come together, it's going to necessitate being a little fussy. 255 stroke. Again, it's only 4, so you can see it. And I can see it in the meantime. Okay, did we get everything? Those look like those are all the solid cut lines. Now we have to go in and do the lines that are going to be fold lines, because we want to have those guides in a perforated laser cut as opposed to a solid laser cut, in which case we'd end up with lots of confetti. So back to this. Stroke and paint. We're going to do our red. Ooh, actually I'm not going to do that now. Yeah. Because what did I just do? I was still selected over here, and so now I have to make it go back to green. Okay, so now I'm going to start my next line over, let's start here. And we will do the same thing we did before. Double tap, there's that. This one's going to be, oh. You know, you probably, I'm going to undo this just for a second. You could probably leave it on the same layer. If they're different colors, it wouldn't be a big deal. But let's give ourselves the bonus of a new layer. That way, if we need to separate them out or save them as separate files, it's not nearly as much of a hassle as it would be. The other thing I'm going to suggest is we like our green cut lines. I'm going to lock that so I don't accidentally mess it up. Locking is your friend. So there's that, and double tap. Over here, there's our red color, and here's our 4 again, so we can see what we're doing. And again, I will definitely have to come back and adjust that. Then we'll do, oh, I probably should not have started there in the middle. Oh well, we'll have one line here. There. 4 and 5, and we will continue that for the duration. And Oops, new. Oh, if you accidentally start a line and you're like, I didn't want that, just hit the escape key. Not a problem. Okay, so the other thing that we actually need here is the fold line with the tabs. So I'm just going to go around the whole thing. So now we have some things. Remember, I did this straight line. I realized it wasn't straight. I added a node. Ooh, we have an issue over here. So I need this to pop down, but if I just pull the whole thing, it's going to move the whole shape. So again, we are going to go here and insert a new node. So we're going to add a node here. Truly we are. There we go. And then we're going to push this back where it belongs and go back here to our handles and adjust these to straight. There we go. So there's that. Now, the other ones that I perhaps had some issues with. This one needs to go over this way a little bit. This one needs to go over here. Oops, that's the wrong line. There. There. Okay, not horrible. Now, there we go. That should work. There are our cut lines and our fold lines. I'm going to lock that, and we're good to go. Okay, so what we have now is the shape that we can fold together. What we have not yet decided is how we're going to design it. We will look at that next.